Hey guys, welcome to today's edition of the Mold Flash. Today we're going to be taking a little trip back to the 80s and having a look at a favorite oddity of mine. Now back in the 80s, Transformers wasn't the only series of transforming robots. There was also the GoBots, a series of mostly smaller, mostly die-cast transforming toys of usually a somewhat greater level of simplicity. Now, at one point they decided it would be a fantastic idea to make a spin-off of the series, which, as you can see, involved rocks. The Rock Lords, as they were called, were a series of... well, it's best to show you. Yep, they were people that transformed into rocks for whatever reason. They only ever appeared on television as part of the GoBots movie. They never had their own major TV presence, but they did persist through 3 different lines of toys. Rock Lords, Jewel Lords, Fossil Lords, and they had some vehicles to ride with. Still, the whole premise back in 1986 was still kind of ludicrous. Some things just don't have the promise that the people who create them think they do. Anyhow, let's have a look at the 2 figures here. This large one is the leader of the not evil Rock Lords. His name is Boulder. And Boulder is supposedly a rock made mostly out of tungsten, which is a metal as opposed to a rock, but what the hell. Now, these guys are fairly sparse on the details. You can see he has a lot of flesh tone, probably to indicate that he's actually a living creature inside the rock. Joints at the elbow, arms rotate on this, I don't know what to call it. The name of the joint eludes me, but barrel joint? He's got plenty of leg motion in the forward and back, mostly due to transformation. He's got his derp hat. Head turns left and right freely. And it has a few nice bits of detail, although you can see mine is showing its age. Picked this guy up fairly cheap. And this little guy is named Nugget. N-U-G-G-I-T. Now, Nugget is unique among the Rock Lords because he is actually a robot. He also has some cool details. He's got the little rocket boosters on the back that flip out when you open up this little head bit. Seriously, only the 80s could come up with something like this. Now, these guys usually came equipped with weapons. Now, it's kind of hard to find them with their weapons, since most of the places you're going to be seeing these guys are garage sales and thrift stores and places that deal in oddities. But one thing I feel that's important to tell you about these guys is they're fairly solid for their size. This whole central part of Nugget is die-cast metal. So these guys, despite being little weirdos, do have some heft to them. Overall, these aren't figures I would recommend that you run out and grab because they're amazing in and of themselves. What they represent is kind of an example that not everything from the 80s was absolutely amazing in and of itself. Basically, they show that the 80s were a time where people were willing to try almost anything in terms of toys. Fortunately and unfortunately, that lingers a lot today in the forms of most of the gimmicks identified in toys in the 80s still being the main selling points in toys today. Anyhow, this has been the latest edition of the Mold Flash. I'll catch you guys later. Whee!